Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you top 5 games similar or like Cyberpunk 2077. If you haven't liked the video or subscribed my channel, please go and subscribe to it. Okay, let's get started. Number 5. Destiny 2, also known as Destiny 2, New Light, is a free-to-play online-only multiplayer first-person shooter video game developed by Bungie. It was originally released as a pay-to-play game in 2017 for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Microsoft Windows platforms. It became free-to-play under the New Light title on October 1, 2019, followed by the game's release on Stadia. The game was published by Activision until December 31, 2018, when Bungie acquired the publishing rights to the franchise. It is the sequel to 2014's Destiny and its subsequent expansions. Set in a mythic science fiction world, the game features a multiplayer shared world environment with elements of role-playing games. Like the original, activities in Destiny 2 are divided among player versus environment and player versus player (PvP) game types. In addition to normal story missions, it features 3-player strikes and 6-player raids. A free roam patrol mode is also available for each destination, which feature public events as well as activities not available in the original. Destiny 2 is a free-to-play online-only multiplayer first-person shooter video game developed by Bungie. It became free-to-play under the New Light title on October 1, 2019, followed by the game's release on Stadia the following month, and then the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS platforms in November 2020. Set in a mythic science fiction world, the game features a multiplayer shared world environment with elements of role-playing games. Like the original, activities in Destiny 2 are divided among player versus environment and player versus player (PvP) game types. In addition to normal story missions, features 3-player strikes and 6-player raids. A free roam patrol mode is also available for each destination, which feature public events as well as activities not available in the original. Number 4. Mass Effect: Andromeda is an action role-playing video game developed by BioWare and published by Electronic Arts. It was released in March 2017 for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. The game is set within the Andromeda Galaxy during the 29th century, where humanity is planning to populate new homeworlds as part of a strategy called the Andromeda Initiative. It was released in March 2017 for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. The game is set within the Andromeda Galaxy during the 29th century, where humanity is planning to populate new homeworlds as part of a strategy called the Andromeda Initiative. Mass Effect: Andromeda is an action role-playing game in which the player takes control of either Scott or Sarah Ryder from a third-person perspective. Both Ryder's appearances and first names can be determined by the player. 2. The appearance of their father, Alec, is automatically adjusted based on the appearance of the Ryder twins. 3. Upon beating the game, a new Game Plus is unlocked, which allows the player to restart the game with certain bonuses and switch to playing as the other Ryder, if desired. Players can also choose to continue playing with their existing character and complete unfinished missions. Unlike previous installments in the Mass Effect series, where players begin each new game by choosing from 6 different character classes that each have their own unique set of skills, players instead have free rein to assign any skills that they want and build towards a specialty over the course of the game. Number 3. The Outer Worlds is an action role-playing game developed by Obsidian Entertainment and published by Private Division. The game was released for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Microsoft Windows in October 2019, with the Nintendo Switch version released in June 2020. The game received generally favorable reviews from critics. The Outer Worlds is an action role-playing video game featuring a first-person perspective. In the early stages of the game, the player can create their own character and unlock a ship, which acts as the game's central hub space. Though the player cannot control their ship directly, It serves as a fast travel point to access different areas in the game and acts as the player's persistent inventory space. 1. The player can encounter and recruit non-player characters as companions who have their own personal missions and stories. Each companion has its own individual skills and special attacks, and it can also develop its own skill specialization. When exploring, the player can bring up to 2 companions alongside them, while the rest stay on the ship. The player can make numerous dialogue decisions, which can influence the game's branching story. They can also respond to NPCs in various ways, such as acting heroically, maniacally, or moronically. 2. During combat situations, the player can use various weapon types such as melee and firearms, which have 3 ammo types: light, heavy and energy. These weapons can be customized to add elemental damage. 3. The player can use stealth or social skills, persuasion, lying and intimidation, to avoid combat altogether. As the player progresses, they gain experience points, which the player and their companions can use to level up and unlock new skills. The player can develop their technical skills, which are further divided into 3 categories: science, medical, and engineering. For instance, the player can use a shrink ray to shrink down an enemy. The player can also enter a tactical time dilation state, which slows down time and reveals opponents' health statistics, which grants the player tactical advantages. Number 2. Metro Exodus is a first-person shooter video game developed by 4A Games and published by Deep Silver. It is the 3rd installment in the Metro video game trilogy based on Dmitry Glukhovsky's novels, following the events of Metro 2033 and Metro: Last Light. It released in 2019 for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, Xbox One and Stadia, and in 2020 for Amazon Luna. An enhanced version of the game is also planned to release for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series XS in 2021. 1. The game received positive reviews from critics. Metro Exodus is a first-person shooter game with survival horror and stealth elements. Set in the post-apocalyptic wasteland of the former Russian Federation and Republic of Kazakhstan, the player must cope with the new hazards and engage in combat against mutated creatures as well as hostile humans. 2-3. The player wields an arsenal of handmade weaponry which can be customized through scavenging materials and a crafting system. 3. The game features a mixture of linear levels and sandbox environments. 4. It also includes a dynamic weather system, a day-night cycle, and environments that change along with the seasons as the story progresses. It is set over the course of one whole in-game year. 3-4 Metro Exodus is set in the year 2035, 1 year after the events of Metro: Last Light, on a post-apocalyptic Earth that has been devastated by a nuclear war. 3. The game continues the story from Metro: Last Light's redemption ending. Similar to the previous 2 entries, the player assumes the role of Artyom, who flees the Moscow Metro and sets off on a continent-spanning journey with his allies to the Far East, on a locomotive called the Aurora. The story takes place over the course of 1 year, starting with the harsh nuclear winter in the Metro. Another major character, returning from the previous game in the book Metro 2035, is Anna, who is now Artyom's wife. 4. Miller, Anna's father and leader of the Spartan Order, also returns from previous games and novels. Number 1. Titanfall 2 is a first-person shooter video game, developed by Respawn Entertainment and published by Electronic Arts. A sequel to 2014's Titanfall, the game was released worldwide on October 28, 2016 for Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. In Titanfall 2, players control Titans, mecha-style exoskeletons and their pilots, who are agile and equipped with a variety of skills ranging from wall running to cloaking. Set in a science fiction universe, the single-player campaign follows the story of Jack Cooper, a rifleman from the Frontier Militia, who bonds with his mentor's Titan BT-7274 after his mentor is killed in action. Together, they embark on a quest to stop the Interstellar Manufacturing Corporation, IMC, from launching a super weapon that is threatening to destroy the militia planet Harmony. Titanfall 2 is a first-person shooter where players can control both the pilot and their Titans, mecha-style robots that stand roughly 7 to 10 meters tall. The pilot has a large variety of abilities that enhance their abilities during combat. All pilots have a jump kit which assists with parkour, double jumping, and wall running. Pilots have more specific abilities unique to each class which augments their offensive and defensive ability, such as a grappling hook for enhanced mobility, or a holographic visual cloaking device. Pilots use their jump kits to run on walls, movements which can be chained together to travel between locations quickly. 2-3, the game introduces several new gameplay mechanics. These include a movement system that allows players to slide on the ground, the Pulse Blade, which is a throwing knife that reveals the location of any nearby enemy, the Holo Pilot, a holographic pilot that mimics players' action to confuse enemies, and a grappling hook, which can be used to slingshot players to a building or reel in an enemy it attaches to. The pilots have a large arsenal of gadgets and weapons, such as shotguns, submachine guns, pistols, and grenades to fight their enemies. 4. At close range, players can execute their opponents from behind in a short animation with a melee attack. 5. Melee attacks are always instantly fatal should they connect. Titans are significantly less mobile than the pilots, but they have stronger firearms and superior protection. Replacing the 3 classes featured in the first Titanfall, 6 Titans were introduced at launch: Iron, Scorch, Northstar, Ronin,